with the refuge prayer. Okay. So, Buddha says, do not commit any non-virtuous actions. Commit all the goodness. Train the mind. This is the teaching of the Buddha. So this is very vast. It condenses all the teachings, the entirety of the Buddha's teaching. It also essentializes all the stages of the path to enlightenment, Lamrim teaching. If we try to understand this passage, these 4 lines, from the Dharma viewpoint, it talks about the way and the method for achieving the enlightenment by following the correct instructions, the correct teachings. It all talks about training the mind. But training the mind can be done in two ways. By refraining from all the negative actions and cultivating or committing to all the virtuous and positive actions. And we can expand this understanding into the spiritual practice. Even so, this is from the spiritual viewpoint, from the point of the Dharma. Now in our normal day-to-day life, it also talks about leading the ethical, disciplined ways of life. It all talks about getting rid of pain and suffering and cultivating or creating the happiness. Because we can shun and get rid of suffering and painful experiences and the causes by abandoning, by removing the negative action. Negative action is caused by our destructive emotions and negative emotions, what we call as afflictions, afflicted emotions, which is all has its root in grasping in what is called as ignorance to the reality. And then we have, on the other hand, we have happiness on the other hand. If we want happiness, we create all the causes and conditions. What causes and conditions leads to happiness? These are the positive actions. These are the positive action, the positive karma, the positive deeds. These positive actions comes out of positive emotions, constructive emotions, beneficial emotions, virtuous emotions, helpful emotions, healthy emotions. All these positive emotions again can be cultivated by understanding the deeper nature of the reality, the reality of the things and the events. Because many of us painful experience, many of sufferings arises because of our distortions to the reality. Because we totally become, and our understanding of the reality is totally obscured, is based on the ignorance, based on the grasping. Once the grasping arises, or sometimes, even what we call as self-centered thought, these then give rise to all the destructive emotions. Once the destructive emotion arises within our mind, it disturbs our mind. It takes away your freedom. It takes away our freedom, and we are landed in the problem. We are landed in the unpleasant situation, unwelcome situation. So therefore, we act according to based on the reality of the things. What are the reality of the things? Once we do understand, we come to understand the reality of the things, then we act according to the reality, and then our actions all become realistic actions, realistic, holistic actions. And based on these holistic actions and reality, then we cultivate the positive emotions, the constructive emotions, the healthy emotions. With these healthy emotions, then it brings joyful experience, happiness. So, in the modern day society, in today's, modern day society, when we try to understand the happiness and the happiness and the satisfactions and the successful life, we more or less measured on the external things, external developments. When there's external developments and external progression in the material things, then we measure, then we consider as an affluent society, developed society, the matured society. Yet on the other hand, it is the people living in the society, have more, internal problem, inner problems. Many of the, country, many of the country spend billions of dollars on this, not the external health, but internal, health. They spend billions of dollars to challenge, to address the things like depression, low self-esteem, the sense of loneliness. From the holistic thinking, from the holistic, way of thinking, the realistic thinking, we can measure the development of the society, the progression of the society by simply measuring the value of the inner resources, inner happiness of the people living in the society. So, after all, it is the happiness. The happiness can be measured. the happiness can be measured by in terms of the inner satisfaction. Inner satisfaction is a happiness. No matter you live in affluent society, highly material developed society, people are still going through some pain, some suffering. So external progression, material progression, definitely highly necessary. But at the same time, these material values cannot guarantee bringing peace, bringing satisfaction in one's life. A wealthy person can be an unhappy person, unhappy individual. Whereas if you go in a rural society where there's not much material progression, development, yet sometimes we do see that people enjoy all the values of the life. People enjoy, there's a smile on their face. There's a full of laughter. There's a trust. Maybe materially backward, yet at the same time, they also know how to live joyfully. So finally, everything depends on how we view the world, how we view the outside world, and also depends on our perceptions of viewing the world. And from the spiritual perspective, attaining happiness can be done by cultivating the positive emotions and which includes the practices like making offering, making prostration, by rejoicing, making dedication. So how we can, by making the offering, by making the offerings to the enlightened beings, to those needy people, making offering to those needy people, poor people, and also rejoicing. How do these bring happiness? And also dedication. How do these bring happiness? When we make the offering, which is the second limb of the seven limb prayer, then rejoicing. It has, these practices, it has to do with the emotions, feeling. It has to do with the feeling. So long as there's a positive, feeling, positive emotions. These positive emotions bring satisfaction, and satisfaction is happiness. Now, we will discuss on this dedication part, which again, one of the powerful ways for developing and cultivating happiness, satisfaction, inner satisfaction, we call it. Inner satisfaction. So, in every practice, in every kind of practice, in every kind of the things that you do, the positive actions that we do, in the beginning should have the motivation, the practice of motivation. And then at the end, should have dedication. Now, why do we need to dedicate? Why do we need to dedicate? Dedication is such a powerful practice. It's a really powerful practice. Whether, how we make the dedication practice powerful, it depends on how do we dedicate, how do we understand the dedication, in what ways we do dedicate, in what manner we do dedicate, for what purpose we dedicate. That is something important to understand. And again, most of the time, after we do the practice, whatever prayer, whatever teaching we hear, we are supposed to do the dedication. But is our dedication really some kind of, strong enough, which really gives you satisfaction, which really gives you some deeper feeling? That is the question. It's simply not enough to dedicate. We need to do it from the depth of our heart. It should come from the depth of your bone marrow. It should come from the depth of your bone, depth of your heart. Okay. Sometimes we feel, let's dedicate, May all beings be happy, May Buddha's teachings remain on this earth for a long time. May Buddha's teaching flourish. May all the Dharma teachers, have the stable life. May all beings be free from suffering. When we do such kind of, for example, when we do such kind of dedication, do we really get feeling, a kind of feeling which helps to move your heart? So to do the dedication, therefore, it is really important to understand the technique. The technique. In order to know the technique of dedicating, we need to understand the deeper, how to practice the dedication in the right way. How do we understand the dedication? So therefore, we need to know the secret which gives you the purity of dedication, the sincerity of the dedication from the depth of your heart, from the depth of your bone marrow, from the depth of your bone. Then it really brings you joyful. We really take a delight, the joy in dedicating. If we do not understand, the things, the way how we do dedicate, then we keep on reading, not that much feeling arise. So first, why do we dedicate? Is because now we create the merit. We create the merit in the past that we have been creating now, or we are going to create in the future. All this merit, the merit of yourself, the merit that you have created by yourself, and all the merit that has been created by others. Right? Now, to dedicate the merit of others, the virtues, the actions of the others, you also need to dedicate. So, it is very important to take the delight, to rejoice in others' good work, good action. Because if we develop jealousy, jealousy for others' good work, you're mad. There's no way that you can dedicate others' merit, because this jealousy destroyed. So therefore, we dedicate the merit of yourself of the 3 times, the merit of the 3 times, and the merit of the others, we combine together. With this, we dedicate. But for what purpose? If we were to dedicate, the merit of the 3 times, and also the some virtue, some merit that we have created by engaging in 6 limb practice, right? 6 limb practice. 6 limb practice: prostration, making offering, confession, rejoicing, requesting not to pass away, requesting to done the will of Dharma. So we create some certain amount of merit by engaging in these practices, and also the merit of the 3 times that we have accumulated, and as well as the merit of the 3 times of the others, we all combine together and dedicate. And then, but for what purpose we are dedicating this merit? We dedicate this merit. If we do dedicate the merit, your merit is not easily destroyed. You are going to engage, you are going to enjoy the fruit of the merit, the result of the merit, limitlessly until we become enlightened. So this is the benefit. You be dedicated. Otherwise, what happens is all the merit that we work hard for since beginning of this lifetime, in some way or other way, we have great merit, good amount of merit. So, there's a danger that our merit can be destroyed by anger or, So therefore, we dedicate this merit so that other forces cannot destroy your merit. Now there are different ways of dedicating, For example, you work hard, you create a lot of merit, we practice, 6 limb practices, and we create a lot of good work, in the past, all this merit, if we dedicate, now say, oh, I dedicate this merit, may I have long life, may all my life go smooth, may I have, abundant, resources, may my life be healthy, long, full of success. If we dedicate in this way, what really happens is this kind of, merit is very small. It's not vast. So what really happens is, yes, you can dedicate in this way, but then, because of, your dedication for your own good life, long life, happy life, yes, you get the result. But once you use that result, once the karma is matured, you have all these things happen. That's it. Once you enjoy the result, it's no more, it's done. This is one way, so this very, small way of dedicating. And then the meditation, all the merits that I have created, all the merits of myself and others that we have created, and all the, merit that I have accumulated through practicing the 6 limb. May I dedicate that, may I attain the liberation, the total cessation of suffering, the total cessation of disturbed mental state. And also, right now, because you dedicate in such a way, all this merit become the cause for your achievement of liberation, nirvana, achievement of nirvana. Again, this is limited. Now there's the third level, The third level of dedicating. Now the third level of dedicating is somewhat complete, way of dedicating. Complete way of dedicating. The first one, you dedicate. With all this merit, may Buddha's teaching flourish ever on this earth. May the Dharma holders have stable life. May all the wishes be fulfilled. Right? Number one. Number two, may my spiritual guru, if you have spiritual guru, may I be well taken care of by my spiritual masters life after lifetime. If you don't have spiritual masters, then you can dedicate. May I meet with the qualified Maya and spiritual masters. May I meet with the qualified Maya and spiritual masters who will take care of me life after lifetime. This is number second. Number two. Number three is may all the beings, including myself, may all the beings be freed from the suffering. May all the beings in the lower realm, be freed from suffering. And may all the beings of the samsara be freed from suffering and finally achieve enlightenment. These three are complete, powerful way of doing dedication. The last one, and is especially important. The last one. All the merit that I have created over the 3 times, the merit that I have created in the past, since beginning of lifetime, all the merit that I'm creating now, all the merit that I will be creating in the future, I dedicate this merit. And also the merit that you have created by engaging in the 6 limb practice. The last one is dedication, then 7, right? 6 limb practice. May I dedicate this merit dedicate this merit, freeing the sufferings of the lower limb, freeing the sufferings of the samsara, and finally achieve enlightenment of them. Now the last one is something really important, right? As we discussed, we need to do it with the feeling. Just may all the beings in the lower limb be freed from suffering. May all the beings of the samsara be freed of their suffering. Is it really powerful enough? Which really helps, which really moves your heart, which really motivates you to sincerely feel it from your heart. Sincerely feel it from your heart. Feel deep in your bone. If you do not feel anything at all when doing dedication, may all the beings be free from suffering. If you don't feel anything at all, then maybe we are not doing in a right way. Maybe we don't know how to dedicate in a powerful way. Right. So if we really say they are since beginner's lifetime, there are many people since beginner's lifetime. There are many people who has helped you, who has done many things for us in many ways. Now these people, these beings, there's no doubt they're maybe in the lower limb, 3 lower limbs, either in the limitless number of the people still going through suffering, going through pain, suffering in the hell, in the Holy Ghost, in the animal. Right? And the reality is, can you really go into this lower limb to help save? Can we really physically go into this lower limb to save? No, you have no power. If you have no power, in what ways you can help them? In what ways we can help them? Right? Therefore, the secret for developing the feeling is we need to understand their suffering. We need to understand their suffering. In order to understand their suffering, you need to think about your own suffering. Because without love for yourself, how can you develop love for others? Everything started from you. Everything, all this transformation, all started from you. Based on your own understanding, your own experience, you are equally wanting to do something for others. That is how we train our mind. That is the spiritual journey. You can talk about love, the compassion. This love and compassion will not come from the sky, not grow from the ground, not somebody who's giving as a gift to you. All started from ourselves as an individual. Right. So that is the reality. Without love, without the love and concern for us, for ourselves, how can we expect to love other people? So if we really wanted to, try to be of some help to others, first you need to know the reality. Need to know the reality. How do we know the reality? Now you see some people. So this is again, sometimes we, sometimes maybe due to our own, misunderstanding, or what we call as misunderstanding or misconceptions, that when we just hear about the pain, suffering, what's that? I don't want to hear about this, the painful experience. Don't share. Don't share the other's pain to me. I'm not ready to accept. I'm not ready to hear. I have my own. I have my own enough. I'm not here to take the extra stress. Why should I feel the pain of others? So sometimes we think in that way, we caught up and we trapped in this kind of thinking, not realizing the technique, of, because, and also many of us, maybe, maybe I don't say many, maybe some people, they think, the suffering is something negative. Something's negative, They think, those people who talk about suffering is a pessimist. They think this way. It's totally wrong. This is totally wrong. Without understanding the suffering, there is no transformation. 100% no transformation. Without reflecting, there will be no transformation. I'm sorry to say this. Because how do we help others? How can we be of some help to others? Now you see, when we talk about the suffering of the lower limb, it's not a pessimist. It's not a narrow-minded thinking. It's a vast thinking. It's a great thinking. It's a vast thinking, because all the spiritual transformation, the love, the compassion, the patience, the forgiveness, all comes from understanding the suffering. Now, how? How? There are many good qualities. By reflecting on the suffering of the lower limb, it helps to cultivate the compassion. It helps to cultivate the love. It helps to cultivate the patience, the stand-up patience. It helps you refrain from all the negative actions. It helps you develop the inner strength. It helps you to, generate the wish, the sincere wish to take the refuge in the three jewels. It helps you to develop the sense of renunciation. People don't understand all these, good qualities. And then sometimes, wanting more, higher, kind of the advanced instructions. And based on my own limited experience, and also I've studied for a long time, and still I'm studying almost different kind of, the Dharma texts. Lamrim, stages the path. In all these teachings, it talks about. In the first, I thought, yes, why I need to think about this, suffering? But then later, I realized this is something, really profound, something really, depth. Right now, see, you want to dedicate, right? You want to not only the dedicate, the sincerity of the dedication. There should be the purity of the dedication for others. Where does this dedication comes? The purity, I say, is not only the dedication, the purity of the dedication, the sincerity of the dedication with the feeling from the depth of your heart, from your bone marrow, from your bone. How are we going to cultivate this kind of dedication? It all understand. Because you need to feel the suffering of other. You need to feel the suffering of other. You need to feel not only the suffering of other, you need to feel the unbearable, the sense of unbearable. In order to feel the sense of unbearable of others, pain and suffering, first you need to understand yourself. You need to understand your own, suffering. Do you want suffering? Do we want suffering? Do you do we feel unbearable of your own suffering? Do we develop a sense of renunciation to get out of this suffering? If you do not develop the sincere wish to get out of from our own suffering, there is no sense of unbearable. If you don't develop unbearable, there's no way that you can develop the unbearable of others' pain. If this does not come, where is sincerity, the purity of sincerity? Where is the purity of dedication, sincerity of the dedication? It will not come easily. It will not come easily without understanding. So, you see, just you don't have to spend half an hour. No need. No need of 20 minutes, suppose. No need of 10 minutes. Just spend 1.5 minute. Just 1 minute. Just 1 minute. Just 1 minute. Take a 1 minute to reflect on the suffering of the hell. Suffering of the hell. Suffering of the hell. How do we feel? For yourself, it gives you a sense of renunciation. It gives you a sense of renunciation. Because you also feel the unbearable of your own, suffering of the hell. So based on your own experience of unbearable, you are able to extend that for others, those beings in the hell. Those beings in the hell. And because of what causes the beings to take the birth in the hell is because of the anger and hatred. Now you wanted to refrain from anger and hatred. You wanted to refrain from anger and hatred. Because motivated by this, you do not want suffering, the suffering of the hell. Now who has the potential? Three jewels has the potential to save us from the suffering of the hell. So you take the sincere refuge in these three jewels. There's a sincerity come. Sincerity of taking the refuge in the three jewels. You develop the sense of renunciation for yourself. For others, you develop the compassion. And because to some extent, you can also bear the suffering of the hell. If you are able to bear the suffering of the hell, why I don't bear even the small suffering? You develop the strength of the patience. Infinite qualities. People don't realize this. People don't realize these qualities. Infinite number of qualities. Even by reflecting on the suffering of the hell, it helps you to develop the wisdom, the sharpness of the wisdom, the stability of the wisdom. And also, because of the compassion for this, the hell beings, you are able to develop the compassion. Based on the compassion, you are also able to finally develop the bodhicitta, altruistic mind. How much you feel pain, how much you want to get out of from this pain, based on your own experience, we are able to do the same for others. We are able to do the same beings in the hell. Now the question arises, why should I help? Why should I help those beings? They have created their own negative karma. What is my responsibility? Why I have to to do my helping to those beings going through suffering in the hell? Right. Now we talk about, yes, there has been your mother. Of course, it is your job, it is your responsibility to help them. And why you need to help them is because these beings in the hell, these are the object of your cherishing. Now, object of your cherishing. These are not the object to be abandoned. These are the object of your cherishing. Now, why need I need to cherish them? Now question arises. Why I do need to cherish them? Because it's not relevant to me. It is them, I am I. But why should I dedicate them? Why should I try to help them? They are not my relatives. They are not my friends. Then say, you have no choice. You have to cherish them. Because why we need to cherish them is because if we don't cherish them, if we don't cherish them, now what is the shortcoming? What is the problem of self-cherishing of yourself? We cherish. Since beginning of this lifetime, we cherish ourselves so much. Even from the perspective of our own interest, if we really care for ourselves, if we really, cherish ourselves, we need to cherish them. We need to cherish those beings in the hell. Then, then after learning, after understanding the shortcomings and the defects of self-cherishing thought, we come to realize, we come to understand that we have to cherish the beings in the hell. And also, after learning the benefits and the advantages of cherishing those beings in the hell, we wanted to do something. Now, because motivated by your own experience of suffering of the hell, you feel the unbearable. You feel the unbearable, and motivated by this unbearable attitude or unbearable motivation, it helps to cultivate the understanding that others are the beings of the hell going through the same pain, and you want to do something. You want to free their suffering. How can you free their suffering? How can we free their suffering? Because you know already that you cannot physically go in the hell and help these beings. But you can at least do something, the purity of the dedication. Then this compassion for them, the compassion of them motivates you to cultivate the sincerity of the dedication, the purity of the dedication for them. That's clear. Now, you see, you also know that, we visualize the suffering of the hell for 5 minutes, 1 minute, and then the suffering of the hungry ghost for 1 minute, the suffering of the, animal for 1 minute. First, you need to reflect. You need to reflect. Again, again. Now, the great masters, they are one great masters, like the great master like Longdil Lama. There's one great masters, Longdil Lama. And another great master like Master Dukan Yelegezo. Dukan Yelegezo. Longde Lama, in the case of Longde Lama, sometimes he just burn the incense and then he burn the incense and then he, touch this burning incense on his body. And sometimes the great master like Dukan Yelegezo, he also, during the winter, he sometimes remain, it's icy. The place is icy, it's snowing. He remained naked. First, I was wondering why these great beings are doing this. Now I realize the secret, there's a secret which helps them to cultivate all the spiritual realization. In the case of Longde Lama, the great Longde Lama, later on, he really developed a high level of spiritual realization. All started from the grassroots level, not touching all the higher instructions. All started from the grassroots level. Because he wants to feel the suffering of the lower limb. So that's why he was touching that, burning incense he put on his body so that he feel the pain. And the same is with the Dukan. Why? Why he in the winter, icy winter, he remained naked outside? Because he wants to feel the pain of the coldness of the suffering. And not only that, we know fasting practice, our Lokatishvara fasting practice, right? Fasting practice. In the fasting practice, sometimes we refrain from eating food. It's called fasting. Why do we fast in this practice, particular practice? Because to understand how painful, how suffering it is to remain without food, to feel it. And then you want to refrain from all the negative actions. You want to refrain from all the negative actions and to create all the positive, cultivate the positive emotions, which helps you to take a comfortable birth. So you see, in this scenario, you try to know the meaning, deep meaning behind. These great two masters, Longdu Lama Rinpoche and Dwayne Gediketsa, both of these are really great masters, are truly celebrated masters, who all started from the grassroots level and finally which culminates, which helps them develop the highest of the spiritual realization experience in their life. In contrast, we try to catch all the higher, empowerment, instruction, and then the real question is, we are doing the practice, particular practice, but how can we guarantee that we are committed sincerely for this particular practice throughout your life? So long as we do not start from the grassroots level, there is no, don't expect too much. Right? So therefore, we need to reflect. You need to reflect based on your own experience. Based on your own experience, then you can tell how people are, how you need to help, how you can help in best way, only by understanding that they are suffering. Right? Then by going through this, the reflection of suffering, the deeper feeling comes in you. You also receive the blessing, plenty of blessing. There's no doubt. There's no doubt. So this is how we can, reflect suffering of the hell, suffering of the hungry ghost. Now imagine, imagine. Now, for example, visualize yourself as hungry ghost. Visualize yourself hungry ghost. Not necessarily 20 minutes or 30 minutes, just do for 1 minute. And we develop the experience, we develop the feeling. With this feeling, you wanted to do something for these hell beings, hungry ghost beings. Reflect upon visualize yourself as some kind of animal. And then you develop the sincere, love and compassion for this animal, who is going through unimaginable, intense the suffering, Yeah, Buddhism talks about, the suffering. Therefore, people, complain, oh, Buddhism talks about suffering, all these things, He's a kind of pessimist. He's not pessimist. The one who thinks a pessimist is a pessimist. And then there will be no transformation. Thinking this way. Remain ever be trapped in samsara forever. So when we try to do the practice, we need to know the secret, the essence, the secret, the behind, the real, the technique of doing the practice. That's important. It is not just to do the practice, here and there. You need to know the secret and the technique, which really brought you the experience, transformative experience. With this, when we understand this, when we understand the nature now, you see, if you really understand that this technique, then just, we are also talk about the 8 types of suffering, 6 types of suffering, 3 types of suffering. You will gain the positive understanding. Each of these suffering helps you develop the sense of renunciation. I'm not talking about high degree of renunciation. I'm not talking about high degree of renunciation, just the renunciation which makes you skillful in achieving the happiness. The skillfulness in achieving the happiness, the skillful technique in achieving the happiness, if we do understand all this suffering in a positive way, not in a negative and pessimist way, positive way. That's why the great master Shantideva says suffering has many good qualities. It helps you develop the arrogance. It helps you develop the compassion for the samsara. It helps you refrain from negative actions and cultivate all the good qualities. This is the positive, because it brings the good result, the transformative result, the long-lasting result, the long-lasting insurance, both in health and property. Right. Once you understand this holistic picture, this realistic picture, holistic picture, many of our destructive emotions will go down, will cool down.
So then I do have a questions.
Yeah.
So it is very interesting that you said that understand the suffering of your will help us to cultivate the compassion for others and also develop many good qualities, right? And
Mm,
and say you said about the stories of many great master who burning the incense or put themselves into some situation to where they have to experience some pain and suffering to understand the pain and suffering of the others. So
yeah.
on that note, I just wonder if we can also take advantage of our own painful situation, like when we have a sickness, some sickness, or have being injured. Yeah, can we take advantage of that situation to how we can take advantage of that situation of our own pain and suffering to understand when we encounter some pain and suffering like that to how we can take advantage of on this situation, to develop more compassion for others.
Mm,
Like
mm,
when you have a sickness, right? Instead
yeah.
of be more lamenting about your old pain, how you can take advantage of that situation to cultivate compassion and develop more positive emotion rather than just feeling bad for yourself. Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. So you see, reflection on the suffering, for example, like sickness, these are truly important, very profound. If we understand in the right way, I do believe this is really, profound instructions, Now, for example, right, now you see, for example, in terms of sickness, uh, when we think about the, sickness of ourselves, when we reflect, because you go through the experience of sickness yourself. So when we, go through sickness, the question is, if you, try to understand, when we are in sickness, when we have pain, each millisecond, because this is our innate, nature that we don't want to suffer. Millisecond by millisecond, nobody wants suffering. Millisecond, even the tiniest, the inch of this, the pain, we don't want. And because we feel some kind of the sense of detachment, we want to get out of from that suffering. There's no question. The entire, sentient being have this kind of innate feeling that they feel the sense of unbearable. So based on your own experience, how you feel it, how you feel the unbearable of your own, the painful experience. When you feel it, when you feel it yourself, now, if you too much think about it, definitely there's a tendency you develop stress, develop the stress. But then, you are going to find the solutions, because where do this sickness come from? If we have some wisdom, we analyze, where do this sickness come from? Can you really bring an end to this sickness? That question comes if we have some wisdom. If we do not care, oh yeah, I'm sickness, I can go to hospital, I get medication, that's it. If we really have some, far-sighted vision, the question comes, where does this sickness come from? Will I get the same sickness in the future? Possible. If you, at the same time, you do not want something. If you do not want something, what we need to do? That is, now you try to search what really is the cause behind this particular sickness, all comes from negative actions. You develop the conviction that I have to refrain from negative action, right? And then with this negative action, to some extent, all this negative karma comes from either anger, hatred, or ignorance. Anger or hatred, mostly attachment and hatred. This attachment and hatred comes finally from grasping, self-grasping. We call ignorance. So you understand that I need to cultivate wisdom. There's no other choice. There's no other way. Because if I really want to bring an end to all my sickness, old age, aging, sickness, death, I have to cultivate the wisdom for my own safety, for my own interest, right? So based on that, this understanding you apply to others based on your own experience. Now other people going through the same. Even other people may not go through, but all the tendency to feel the pain, to experience the pain in the future, sooner or later. And then you develop. And if you try to understand, this kind of painful experience, if you try to understand based on this, your own painful experience, now we bring to the second understanding, that is the conditioning suffering. Once we develop the conditioning, understanding of the conditioning suffering, not only one being, two being, you are able to develop the compassion for the entire beings of the Trillium. So first started from yourself, based on your experience. That is how we train in cultivating the compassion, compassion, Mahayana compassion. You see, again, when we talk about the compassion, great compassion in different degrees. Great compassion, different degrees. Now, if you really find the 100% compassion, 100% strength, the compassion which is 100% strength, such a powerful, to develop such a powerful, compassion, it all started how you feel the unbearable of your own pain. Without unbearable, feeling the sense of unbearable pain, who may also means, free, just, looking at others, people going through suffering just with your eyes, No, don't expect this. As said, all started from you, based on your own experience. So therefore, in the teaching, I really love this teaching, It's the, the nature of the suffering, It says, for yourself, develop sense of renunciation. For others, develop the compassion. This is beautiful. It's really beautiful. Because to make the long story short, if you think the compassion of yourself, if you think the suffering of yourself, it helps you to seek the solution. Oh, I'm suffering. Well, now I can't do anything. Lost the hopeless. It helps you to seek the solution. What solution you have? I mean, you can go to hospital. You can get treated there. That's understandable. But then deep inside, what's the root cause of this suffering? The root cause of suffering is negative karma. And negative karma all comes from negative emotions, anger, attachment, and ignorance. And this anger is especially what we call as in the Buddhist, it's a very beautiful and unique term, craving. We need to understand craving. I'm going to talk about this craving later on. It's really, marvelous. It really, solves many problems in one's life, including the addiction. we call it, drinking addiction, drug addiction. It helps understanding the craving, how the craving works, the mechanism of the craving. So all started, right? So this craving, and is there any solution? Is there any solution for attachment, anger, or craving? Where does this come from? These things, these come from ultimately, these come from the grasping. Again, grasping. We call the grasping at I, grasping at mine. Too much grasping at I. My concern, my interest. So the I, we attach to the I, we attach the sense of I. Now you see, just it's not enough to attachment to the I, because then you develop the attachment to the happiness of the I, the pleasant experience of the I. Again, it is not enough just to develop the attachment to the pleasant experience of I. The pleasant experience of the I can be accomplished by means of senses, all the six senses. We develop the attachment to the senses. And then there's a demarcation between you, other group, I, and you. In order to accomplish all the senses, in order to accomplish the pleasant feeling, which is achieved through the medium of the senses. Anybody who creates an obstacle for creating the pleasant experience, then these people become your enemy. These people become your enemy. And then you and they. And then because of this, anger, attachment, jealousy, all this arise. This is Buddhist psychology. Buddhist way of explaining, pure Buddhist psychology. How this craving, mainly the craving, brings forth the suffering like ripples of water. So therefore, these great master, Nalanda masters provide the perfect solution for a psychological problem, inner problem. The rich resources, how to tame our mind, how to address our emotions. Such a sophisticated, education, traditional education. Okay, now we have let's see. Now I think we have, we better stop here, time crossed. So if you have any question, you're welcome.
Dạ, ai có câu hỏi cho thầy xin gõ vào khung chat ạ. So those who have the questions for them, please type them down in the chat box.
So, sometimes, His Holiness, the Dalai Lama used to say, Buddhist literature now should not keep, in one's order. Now is the time to study all this, the richness of the Buddhist psychology, the richness can offer the help to the modern day society, because it's so rich, But sometimes the problem is that to explore, this, richness of the richness of these resources. Almost 100 volumes on Buddha's teaching and 200 volumes by the great Indian masters, Narendra masters, written such a beautiful, treatises, beautiful explanation how to address the, the difficulties, especially in, the inner difficulties, the inner mess up things. And then the great masters, the great, Tibetan masters, the great masters, this really composed many beautiful, about, how to address the emotions, how to tackle, tackle these, difficulties. So now, yeah, the time come for us to, explore these, explore these things, Otherwise, sometimes, some other time, for example, right, yeah, I also, yeah, I was also asked, my family, somebody, addiction, addicted to drinking, addiction to some kind of drug thing, illegal substances. Is there any puja to help? Yes, you can do the pujas, definitely in some way help. But the main thing is, how do the addiction arise, addiction develop? How do the obsession, we call obsession, how do the obsession arise, addiction develop? If we do understand how the craving works, how the obsession works, how it brings the extra problem, then we know how to address. So therefore, it is very important to understand the mechanism of the craving, how these things, bring limitless number of problems. So about these things, to totally address this issue, one need to understand in some way, again, like you need to understand the pleasant feeling, you need to understand the suffering feeling, we need to understand the neutral feeling. With these three understanding, what is the neutral feeling, what is the pleasant feeling, what is the unpleasant feeling, with this understanding, it really gives you very good understanding how, we can temporarily address the problems like the obsession and addiction. Okay, then, yeah, look like no more question. Then we begin with the prayer, dedication prayer. Okay, so with this, then we, dedicate the merit. We first, with this, then dedicate the merit that all the beings in the, lower limb be freed from suffering and achieve the favorable rebirth. All the beings in the samsara also freed from their suffering and take a favorable rebirth and finally achieve the enlightenment. Right. chanju senju rinpo che ma ge ba na ge yu chi je wo nye ba me ba ya hong du de wo cho yang da ba rinpo che ma ge ba na ge yu chi je wo nye ba me ba ya hong du de wo cho Wa da ne te wa ma, te ba da ne re ba ye, da ne sen je tam je ye, ne na yun ya shi yu ji. Sa su ju wa qian bo da, nan wa xin du da ba ya, sen je da du ne ba ye, na ba ye zhe xi yang xiu. Ji se na ba ye ne ba da, ro wa te se ne yu ba, te se da ne ne yu ne, ro ye gu ne se wa xiu. Te ne je zi la ma tu ji ji, ma ju ro we, te ji du ne ne, ma lu tang da da la ne ba da, da ye ne ye xian la tang wa ye. Du yu de du de lu chen yu. Yang be a pa lu ji da xian ba pa, gun du sang bu de yang de xin de. Te da ju ju jia so da lu ji, ye wa de da tang jie la lu ma. Te zeng xie ye ye wa tang jie ke. Mo wa dan la chou du ma ba de. Da ye ye a ca wa de yu jia. Sang bu che che ra do mo le ke. Oh. Okay, thank you everyone for joining the class.
Thank you so much, Ben. Thank you everyone for joining our class today. Cảm ơn mọi người đã tham gia lớp ngày hôm nay. Xin tùy hỷ công đức của mọi người.
Thank you, Daisy, so much for the teaching.
You're welcome. Welcome.
Dạ, hẹn gặp lại mọi người vào tuần tới. See you next week.